Here we go.
Ooh, so dramatic. All right. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Apparently, this is a old millennial thing that we say hi, everybody, at the beginning. You're not supposed to say that. You should just start talking, but it feels too weird to me.
Gotta include it.
My name, as you guys know, is Jane Stein. I'm the managing director of Loop Abroad, and I'm joined today by Rachel Hall from Galin Education. They do well, I'll let her tell you what they do, and then we're going to talk about all kinds of things related to your vet school application, what you can do to improve it, what you shouldn't be doing, because there's a lot of things you're all doing that we don't want you doing, and some questions we see all the time. Okay, so tell us about you and tell us about what you guys do.
Absolutely. Thanks, Jane. As she mentioned, my name's Rachel Hall. I'm the pre-vet advisor at Galin Education. So my role is to essentially work with students or applicants who are applying to vet school and to support them throughout their application process. So that starts with, prerequisite choices, experiences, kind of navigating the application itself, essays, mock interviews, everything from beginning to end, or anything within that you feel like you need some additional support with to help make yourself a more competitive applicant when you're applying.
Okay. I'm sure we both have a lot of pet peeves, a lot of strong feelings, but the good news for you guys is these pet peeves are helpful because things become pet peeves because you see them a lot and then you kind of notice them. The more you try to notice them, you notice them more and more. So I'm going to start with one. It's very, very niche, but it has to do with essays. So maybe we can talk about essays first.
Yes.
I have a lot of strong feelings about essays, in particular because they're so short and because it's the only place you get to like talk. And so I feel like so many folks wasted on just restating things that are other places. I'm like, this is your time.
Yes.
But a third or more of the essays I read start with like, when I was 6 and we had a dog and I've loved animals and known I wanted to be a vet since I was 6. Just skip that part. Just, it
Yes.
doesn't tell me anything about your passions, your abilities, you as a you as a 6-year-old liked your dog. That's good.
Yep.
But that just
Yep.
tells me like you're not a sociopath. End of
Yep.
list. It's not informative. You don't have time. We
No,
know you like animals. You're applying to vet school.
that is assumed. It's
Yeah,
just, you
yeah.
don't even have to state it. It's just assumed at this point.
Skip all that. And my other one for essays, well, I have a few, but two, I'll do two others for essays.
Okay.
Any quote from anybody that isn't you. Like, it's the same 4 quotes we see all the time. The voice for the voiceless. Vets are the only doctors that treat more than one species and they can't even talk. Okay, it's not, you don't have time to be someone else talking. And the third one is you saying what veterinarians are or do to the
Yes.
veterinarians who are reading
They
your
already
essay.
know it. They
You're
already know
not
it.
one. You're not a veterinarian. And you're like, well, all veterinarians are blah, blah, blah. Stop. Stop. I don't know if
Yes.
any of you watching have ever had the pleasure or displeasure of reading an article explaining you to you, but it's unlikely to be correct. It's not the move. All right. That
Yes.
said, what are your essay? What are your don't do's? What are your do's? What are your tips?
Yes. Number one, your personal statement and essays, everything in it needs to talk about you. I've read so many that go on and on about an animal that an applicant has worked with or a vet that they've worked with that's really inspired them, but it tells me nothing about you as the applicant. The
Yeah.
vet's not applying to vet school, the animal's not applying to vet school. Everything needs to come back to you and tell them something about you.
Yes.
I think that is probably the number one thing I see is applicants kind of get going on a story, and by the end of it, I know everything about their dog that went through a traumatic experience and valid and all of that.
Right.
But it's not the right place to talk about it, right? Because
Right.
I know everything about your dog. I know nothing about you.
And in particular, like in a college admissions essay, part of what we're looking for is your writing skills. And so
Yes.
sometimes there is room for that beautifully written paragraph about your grandpa or whatever. The whole essay can't be about your grandpa for high school students watching, but there's a place for it. The vet school doesn't care what
Mhm.
quality of writer you are. You shouldn't have typos and mistake stuff, but there, none of that is, we don't need it.
Nope. Yeah.
Yeah.
And kind of on that, start early. Like start your personal statement in January. When BEMCAS opens, it takes most of the applicants that I've worked with, it takes them anywhere between 4 to 6 drafts before they have a final product
Yeah.
that they feel confident with and that they're proud to submit and that conveys the information it needs to convey. So the personal statement and essays in general, it's not something you can just do last minute and pump out and have a really good essay. It's a very short character count for what you need to include in it. So
Yeah.
it's a process. It is not a like one and done type of situation.
Yeah. I think that's right. Okay. I think we could probably talk for 3 hours about this essay, but those are good. I mean, it does matter. Also, I would say folks who are applying again, because I know it's that time of year where some folks are looking at applying again.
Yes.
And I always see people post, can I just use all the same stuff? I mean, yeah, they'll let you submit it, but you didn't get in with that stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
why you hopefully you've done
Yes.
something since then that makes it different. So I'm
Yeah.
gonna just say no, don't use all the same stuff.
No, as a re-app, you have if you are a re-applicant, you have to be a different applicant than you were the first time. You need to show areas you've grown in, additional experiences you've had, more classes you've taken. Like you should be a different applicant if you are reapplying. If you are still the exact same applicant you were that first time, don't reapply yet. Give it time.
Yeah,
And I'll just add in here, gap years can be a great thing in applying to vet school. I think they have like a bad rap with applicants because I know everyone just wants to kind of get on with the next phase of their life and get started. But taking a gap year or gap years, you're going to build more experience. You're going to be able to write better essays because you have that more experience. There's the maturity component. Schools see them as a positive thing. Taking a gap year is not seen as a negative thing. And in my experience, I tend to see better acceptance rates from students who have taken a gap year because they have more experience. They write stronger essays because of that. They're able to take more classes and work on the kind of areas of their application that maybe aren't as strong. So something to
yeah,
consider if you're on the fence, like wait and apply when you are the most competitive. Don't just jump in and say like, let me just see what happens. Like
yeah.
wait until you are the most competitive. It's a lot of time, money, and energy to put in to just kind of like, yeah, I'm just going to throw it out and see what happens.
And there's a thing that happens when you're, you know, 18 to, I'm obviously generalizing, but like a theme, when you're 18 to 26 or whatever, where you feel like there's a schedule, and if you don't do that schedule, maybe you're behind. And even the phrase gap year is like, well,
Mm-hmm.
there's the regular schedule, and then I took a gap from it. There's no, it's not anything. There's
No,
no like rule. If you were born like a month later, you'd be in a different year of school
no,
anyway.
no,
Nobody over the age of 30 is like, oh, she did it at 19 instead of 18. Those are the same. It's the
no.
same. It's just like
Yeah,
there isn't a schedule. You're not
no,
all on the same track. And as you go on in your life, people's career trajectories and academic trajectories spread out in such a way that that kind of comparison goes away. So
yeah.
I would try to just sort of divorce yourself from this feeling of anything different from no breaks is a pause in some way. It's just your life.
Mhm.
It has
Yeah,
different things happening.
yeah. And just like when you go to vet school, like you, there's not going to be a lot of time for anything else. Like if there are other things you want to do or just have a little break from school, like that first year of vet school is intense.
Yeah.
So don't rush it.
I think one thing we see at Loop Abroad a lot is, which I love, is we see there's a lot of reasons people come on a program. They come because they need vet hours or research hours, which we'll talk about. But they have an idea of what area of this profession they're interested in. And they want to come to a program to like learn more about that and see what it is, what that really is.
Mhm.
And or to help pick one or to narrow things down. And sometimes they leave and say, that program was awesome. I had a great time. I got credit. I was wrong. I don't want to be a wildlife vet. I want to be an exotics vet, or I want to do whatever.
Yeah.
There's no, first of all, think of how improved your essay is, your next year choices of research, your application, all those things when you've honed in and learned about those professions. But secondly, forget about the getting in, like you're so much more prepared for what classes should I take, what should I focus on, what internship should I look at. Says the lawyer who went to law school and then never did anything except hang this nice, very expensive certificate on the wall. It's worth a lot to know more about the profession
Yeah.
you're entering ahead of time before you
Mhm.
put hundreds of thousands of dollars in and 4 years of your life
Yes.
into it.
Absolutely. I mean, that experience component is so important, because you have to articulate your why, right? And as we talked about with essays, it can't be because you love animals and you've worked with animals your whole life. That's
Mhm.
everyone if it's applying to vet school. So, the experience component is so important to kind of develop your why. And as Jane said, I've worked with so many applicants who think they want to go one direction. They want to work with large animals or exotics or small animals, and they start gaining different experiences and realize they want to go a different direction
Yeah.
within vet. So, the experience, and I think what's really cool about Loop Abroad as well is the varied experiences that you can get. I have so many
Mm.
applicants that come to me and say, like, I've only worked with small animal and I don't
Right.
know, you know, I like it, but I feel like I should get experience elsewhere. And I agree. I think diversifying your experience, and Loop Abroad offers so many great ways to do that, right? Both abroad and here in the United States, to get experience with different species, to get experience in different settings within veterinary medicine, because you are going to have to show that you have a well-rounded understanding of the field, not
Yeah.
just of a small animal clinic or just an equine farm or, whatever it may be. You have to show that you truly understand the profession as a whole and be able to talk about how you want to contribute in the field as well. And if you are kind of confined yourself to just small animal experience, there's a whole world of veterinary medicine that you're kind of missing out on. And I think, really diversifying your experience can also help you um, be able to talk about in a convincing way why you want to do this and have the
Yeah.
experience to back it up.
Yeah. So many things came up in that I want to talk about.
Yes.
But when we talk about applying to vet school, applying to any school, but like let's talk about vet school. I want you to look at your application, your like story so far, all your stuff you've done, and you're looking for breadth and depth. So you shouldn't just have one thing, right? Like I've only ever seen horses. That's the only animal I've
Yeah.
ever been near in my whole life. It's great if you have depth in one area, but you
Yes.
want both. So you don't want to just I've done everything for 6 hours and I've never gone further in anything.
Mhm.
Because if I'm on a committee, not me, but if one is on a committee choosing applicants for vet school, it's hard for me to tell how you're going to do with other stuff. Sorry, it's hard for me to tell how you're going to do, deeply into one thing. How do you move up? Do you get leadership positions? Do you grow? Do you build on what you learn? If you've just done one thing, it's hard for me to tell how you're going to do with other stuff. So I want to see both of those. So the first scan you can do is like, is there any breadth I can get? If I've only had companion animal, can I get large animal? Can I get research? Can I
Mhm.
get lab? Can I do exotics or something? And then you do want a little depth somewhere where you've built from an intro level to something else.
Yes.
It would be great if that area is the area you're saying is your passion. So
Yes.
so something that I look for when I look at someone's whole application portfolio is does the history match the story? In other words, the
Mhm.
essay says, like, I want to be, I'm making this up, it's not a real person. I want to be a primate vet. I want to work in primate conservation, and this is my deepest passion since I was a child. And then you look over here at what they've done in their life, nary a chimp to be found, no
Yeah.
primates of any kind. And I'm going, well, if this was
Right.
your passion is something you do. It's not an idea.
Mhm.
It's something you do. So if you're going to say, this is it for me, it should match what you do somewhere.
Right.
The good news is, no one can look inside your soul and see what your passion is. So if you just decided, I'm so passionate about being a chimp vet, and you look and everything you've done for the last 10 years has been with birds, guess what you should talk about on your application? Not chimps, birds. And then
Yeah.
you'll be a vet and you can, change things later. But you do need the passion and story to match. And if you
Yes.
really are, if you think I want to be a chimp vet, that's going to be it for me. I'm deeply passionate about that. You better go find something. It can be
Gotta work with chimps.
you don't have to go to Africa. I mean, we want you to travel all over with us, but you don't have to. There are lots of ways to learn about things in your house. There are
Mhm.
research people you can reach out to. There are papers you can read. You can email someone. There's tons of information online. There's professors with lectures that you can watch. There's stuff at your local zoo that you can take the train to. I mean, this stuff is out there.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not a certificate, maybe it's not the fanciest thing in the world, but there's a way to show I know about this, I'm passionate about it, I care about it, I'm invested in it and involved and connected in it without spending any money, I would say without even going out of your house. And if you're not going to at least do that much, that's not your passion that you're writing down.
Right. I agree. And that's something I hear from admissions offices all the time that, they really want to be X kind of vet, but the experience doesn't match that. And there are some areas where it is a little harder to get experience, but as you said, there's so many different ways to show your interest and
That's
your
right.
passion. Like there has to be the action steps. It might not be that you're able to shadow a vet in there, but do your research, do informational interviews, ask to chat. Like there's other things that you can do to
Yeah,
show
and I
that
think even those
initiative.
brainstorming sessions, right, of like, let's say I want to be a equine vet. And I see people all the time. I looked around and I can't find anything. Come on. You can't
Yeah.
find anything. You can't find a pony ride place that'll let you volunteer doing pony rides.
Mhm.
You can't find a barn that will let you clean the barn. You can't find a article to read on the internet for free.
Mhm.
You can't find anything about a horse. Like, I don't believe you. You didn't try hard enough. I know you can't find a surgical internship when you're 18 at
Yeah.
like the best horse hospital in the world. You don't have to. You got to do something
No.
though.
Yeah. And it's not, I mean, it's not easy, right? Like you have to problem solve a little bit. You have to get creative sometimes. But I think that's really important too to show that skill set because you're going to need it in vet school. You're going to need it as a veterinarian.
Yep. Okay. Rachel and I are going to do some old lady talk for you now. How do you reach out to places that you want to work? Let's say for free. Let's say you don't even want to get hired to work somewhere. You want to intern, you want to shadow, you want to help out at a barn. You want to
Yes.
help the dog breeder or the puppy rescue or whatever. So you found something and you're like, "Hey, this is going to be great for me. Here I go." Now, I don't
Yep.
know, but a lot of those places are run by people who are between the ages of, let's say, 35 and
Mm-hmm.
65. So they're a
Yeah.
different generation than a lot of applicants.
Mm-hmm.
Pretend it's you. What would you like the applicant to do and not do?
Yeah. Well, here's my thing. I think most applicants want to email, which
Mhm.
you can always give that a try. What I tend to find though is that emails are much easier to uh, accidentally skip over or get buried in a lot of clinic related emails. If I was the applicant, or if I was a veterinarian and having applicants, I think I would like them to either come to the clinic to actually
Mhm.
talk with me, meet with me, because in email, you only get so much, right? The personality doesn't really come through. You can only say so much through email. I think calling the clinic, number one, to ask, are there any opportunities? And sometimes I think taking more of the approach of like, get your resume ready, get kind of a cover letter ready, like a statement that says like, here's who I am and here's what I can offer and here's how I can help you, right?
Mhm.
Because you presenting it as I need these hours or I need this experience, that's great. But as a super busy veterinarian, like, how can you
Right.
help me? So
Right.
taking the approach of like, what do you have to offer? Like, what can I take off your plate for you?
Yeah.
So kind of think through like, where are you looking and like, how could you be helpful? Like, do they need somebody to help out at the front desk or to like run errands or to greet cut, just think about how you could be helpful. And I think approaching it, be prepared. Have your resume, have a cover letter, or some kind of statement that outlines like who you are and how you can be helpful and what experience you have to offer them. And I would go to the clinic and drop that stuff off and have a conversation and follow up via email or through a phone call. Sometimes you have to be a little persistent,
Okay.
with the follow up as well. So
Yeah.
they could say no, and that's okay. I think a lot of applicants I hear are like scared to get a no. And that's the
Yeah.
worst they're going to say is no, right? But if you're really prepared and they can see value in what you're offering them,
Mhm.
you may get a
And
yes.
there's so much. I want y'all to start early keeping track of and making connections, because
Yes.
the first people you're going to reach out to are people, organizations, or people you're connected to in some way. Yes, your mom's friend, your dad's friend, your whoever,
Mhm.
sure. But also, like, where does your dog go to the vet? Where does your cat go to the vet? Where do they get groomed? Where do they get
Mhm.
boarded? What's near you that your school went on a trip to this horse place when you were a kid? Because there's a whole bunch that there's a reason for you to reach out. You're already
Mhm.
in a community together. And don't, you can, if let's say you can't get a shadowing position at the vet in your town. I mean, I grew up in a small town. There was a vet, like they, presumably, I
Yeah.
didn't want to be a vet, but presumably they had only so many people who could be in there. But start with some other place that does something with animals, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Imagine how many more connections you're going to have to different veterinarians, different animal professionals if you are at a groomer, if you're at a farm, if you're at a dog shelter, whatever thing it
Yeah.
is. Though everyone that works there takes those animals to the vet. Everyone that comes in takes those animals to the vet. Maybe they are a vet. Maybe they know someone else. Then you have experience to write down to say, I've shown up at this place. And by the way, until you kind of get your stuff rolling and become, you have a real professional resume. When you're just starting out and you're thinking, what the heck do I put on my resume? What we want to see on the resume is, yes, veterinary skills, great. Anything that shows leadership experience, moving up in and being given more
Mhm.
responsibility, being involved in a team, showing up on time, dressed to play. Like,
Yep.
it is so hard to find anyone at any level of anything who consistently shows up and is ready to go. If you are that,
Mhm.
you will be fine. You will get a next offer. You will move on to a next thing. So when you are like, I'm going to volunteer at this place, and you go, I can be here 20 hours a week. Hold on, bro. Look at your schedule. Find out what you actually can do. And then, if you're volunteering, you can say, I can commit Tuesdays, 4 to 6 p.m. until the summer,
Yep.
except I'm traveling this 1 week of April. Like, have a schedule that you can do without
Yeah.
missing it I got a birthday party. I got my aunt's thing. Now my soccer team made no, nobody wants that. That you can show up for and show up for it every time.
Yep.
You'll always have a next thing.
Yeah, and kind of on that point too, all of those things are what vet schools are looking for as well. Like, vet
Yes.
hours are important, but they want to see leadership. They want to see a commitment to serving others in your community.
Yeah.
Working with diverse populations, working with people who are different from you. All of those things that Jane just talked about, that are skill sets that you also need to be building to be a successful candidate in vet school, because they're looking at you as a whole person, not just your vet hours kind of isolated.
Yes. Okay. You brought up diversity, so we're going to talk about diversity because
Mhm.
We see on the vet school application when people are asked this, some question about how are you, bringing, what diversity are you bringing? What's the diversity? And I see a lot of students go like, I don't know, nothing. I don't know what to write. Okay, everybody, you need to have people who aren't like you in your life in some way, for vet school or not. If every person around you is exactly like you, same age as you, same race as you, same ethnicity, same religion, same income level, same experience level, same every single thing, you're missing out on life. But probably they're not.
Mhm.
Okay. Experiencing and working in a diverse community, which you all live in, everyone, every person lives in some way, a diverse community, whether they've gone out into it or not, um, is an important skill for your whole life.
Mhm.
And you can find a way, and should have by now, to participate in a diverse community. You do not
Yes.
need to be a particular ethnicity or background or religion to introduce diversity into a community. And you don't need to travel to another country. You can. We love when you do that. You can come with us to Thailand or South Africa
Mhm.
and learn all about a different culture and help with animals and learn all these things. But there is a way in your town to be involved in a community that is different from you in some way, and you should find it and
Yes.
reflect upon it. And if you are
Mhm.
still thinking that's not possible, everyone in my town is the same, you are incorrect in any town in America. So think about, you know, working with little kids, working at a place for senior citizens, or offering pet care for senior citizens in your town, reaching out to
Mhm.
different religious organizations that might need support or might want a free class on how to take care of your pet or how to clip your cat's nails or whatever. I mean, you can
Yeah.
start at any capacity here. Just
Yep.
learning about how conservation is different conservation models in different countries, which again, you could do from your computer in an
Yep.
afternoon in your house.
Yeah.
So the answer to that can't be
No.
nothing.
Yeah. Go, go out into a rural area and find a vet clinic to volunteer at. In a big city, like a high volume, low cost clinic. There's ways to diversify your experience.
Yeah.
And just about every school at this point is going to ask you what experience you have had in working with people who are different from you. So
Yeah.
uh it's an important thing to do. And as Jane said, I think sometimes applicants have a particular thing in mind when they hear the word diversity, that they feel like they have to work with someone who's a different race or a different religion. And there's so many ways to work with people who are different from you, right? Like everybody is different in some
Take
capacity.
a language class. I mean, we have
Yeah.
Live Abroad has an online veterinary Spanish. It's not
Hmm.
free, but if you need it to be cheaper, message us and we'll help you out with it. And it has college credit available. A lot of you already speak Spanish or take Spanish class. Learn some terminology. You know how much easier it's going to be for you to get a volunteer position, by the way, or a shadowing position or a
Yes.
cleaning, any of these positions if you're like, by the way, I took a veterinary Spanish course, or I speak Spanish, or I speak Chinese, or I speak French, or whatever, that you're immediately opening the door for communication across multiple
Yes.
communities. You invest your time in being
Hmm.
able to communicate with a huge other group of people. You all took language in high school, you all took it in college. Get your act together. Go to learn how to say a few things. You immediately could become the thing, the like secret key to all the diversity questions is every time you build connections with a different community, different in any way, you're a bigger asset to your school, your job, your
Yeah.
community than you were before. So you're just helping yourself.
Yes. 100%.
But
100%.
also everybody who's come on a trip with us, we love that you do that and we want you to meet all different people and we think it's great. Do not imply in your answer to that question that diversity only exists by you traveling to another country.
No.
It doesn't.
No.
The only place to find people different from you is not halfway around the world. There's probably someone in your house who's very different from you. This is not it's not a tough assignment, you know? You just got to try a little bit.
Yeah. Absolutely. And it's so important. I mean, you just have to think about you as a future veterinarian and the diverse population you're going to be serving. And you
Yeah.
need experience serving those different populations that are different from you. And be reflective about it as well. Like, not just like a checkbox, like, okay, done. Be reflective about it and engage with it. And, um,
And someone I would venture to guess, maybe not. Maybe you've had a perfect life and everything has been great every single day, but like probably not. Someone you've encountered in your life, probably like in the last week, has been dismissive of you because of some group you fit in, because you're a girl or woman, because you are pretty or not pretty, because you're tall or short or young or aren't a college graduate, or I mean, there's some time in your recent experience where someone has treated you a certain way, not because of who you are, but because of a group that you fit into, even if you come to that with a lot of privilege and all these things. Everybody has that happen every day because
yep,
human beings put people in categories and we generalize about them. I've done it 20 times in this call already and said, well, 19-year-olds or old
yep.
people. I mean,
Old
that's how
lady
we
talk.
survive, old ladies. It's how we survive in the world. We have to categorize people. But when it happens to you and it's incorrect, it doesn't match your skill level or it doesn't match your opinions, it's jarring. And so we can all appreciate that there is value in spending time with people who fit in those different categories, building connections with them because we start to see other people as individual people and not just part of whatever category. And you can also understand why a vet school or any school, which is going to have a class made up of people come from different states, that come from different backgrounds, that come from different understandings about food animals. This is a big area of diversity in vet med. Do you eat animals? Do you see them as food as sometimes? Um, who come from different, levels of expertise, who come from different political regions, who come from all these things, are going to be the class together.
Yep,
And they're going to need to work together and understand each other and be respectful of each other's opinions and understandings of the world and beliefs and feelings, and understand that those contribute to a profession. They want to know that you can do that
mhm,
without being a jerk.
absolutely.
It's a reasonable thing
Important.
to know. It's not a tick box. It's like, can this person be among other human people that aren't
Yeah,
just like them? And
right.
we see huge differences in we have students from all 50 states, different countries as well, but mostly the US. And huge differences in cultural opinions about conservation, about
Mhm.
hunting, about veganism, stuff that just comes up in being on a
Yeah,
trip with people, right? You're eating food together, you're staying different places together. And so you have to be able to still work with that group and respect those all those opinions and where they come from to get anything done.
yeah, absolutely.
Okay, here's another like hot button, not hot button, but like what to do, what not to do.
Okay.
When you have something on your application that isn't great, you failed a class or you withdrew from something or you had to take it a bunch of times or
Hmm.
you got fired or whatever.
Yep,
Life happens to people, right?
yep.
And there's a little section where you get to say, like, do you want to explain anything? Do they want to explain anything? What are your like definitely don't do this or do or not do for that situation?
Yeah. So it truly depends on the situation, but if you decide you want to explain anything, you had a bad semester because you were struggling with some health related issues, or you had some mental health related struggles that led to, poor grades for, in a few classes, or you had a death in the family that really, people experience life, and I think veterinary schools understand that, right? I think there's very few applicants who have just had like nothing major happen in their life.
Yes.
With that being said, um, they don't want you to dwell on the situation. With all due respect and validating your situation, they want to know this much about like the actual situation and what happened, and this much about how you've grown, skill sets you've learned as a result of that experience. how you plan to use what you've learned moving forward, and how it's going to help you be a more successful vet student, future veterinarian. They don't want you to just dwell on what happened. Like, stuff happens and it's horrible. And as a result, right, academic things can suffer, life things can suffer.
Yes.
And they understand that. Like, to this date, I can't even think of an applicant that I've worked with that hasn't had like some bump in the road. Everybody has
Yeah.
a bump in the road, and that's fine. It's all about how you present it. Like, you have to show that you've learned from the situation, that you've grown from the situation, and that's what needs to be the focus if you decide to disclose it and talk about it, which can be totally fine.
Yeah.
But they have to know that it's not going to be an issue for you as a vet student, right? They want to know that
Yeah.
you've learned from it, grown from it, and how you're going to use that kind of experience um, moving forward, or what you got from that experience moving forward.
Yeah. Not a sob story time to make people feel bad for you. But
Nope.
look, you're whatever, when you're applying to vet school, probably in your 20s, maybe not, maybe you're in your 30s or 40s, but most applicants are in their 20s. You've been around for 20 years. Some, not everything has gone right.
Right.
Most of us, by the time we finish college, have had at least one class that just like didn't work out,
Mm-hmm.
or an accident or an incident or something happened.
Yeah.
That's okay. I mean, it
Yes.
may not be okay within your soul, but it's okay in terms of being an applicant that it happened for you.
Yes. And one
If
class going poorly is not going to tank your
no,
application. Like, I get that question all the time too. Failing one course, I mean, retake it and do well. That is your
yeah.
best.
And sometimes you can tell from looking at the application, right? Yeah, if you took a core science class and you didn't do well in it, take it again. Contact the schools you're applying to about what their policy is for retaking classes. Can you
Yes.
take it at a community college? Can you take it online? Do they replace the grade or do they average them together? Do they want, because why are you guessing?
Yes.
What are you
Don't guess.
doing? Don't ask the people of the internet what you should do.
No.
And then some of these things change every year. Call the
Yes.
school up and say, or write them an email. By the way, the admissions office will answer you and
Yes.
say, here's who I am. I'm really excited about this school. I'm doing this. What's your
Mhm.
policy on blah, blah, blah? Because there are schools
Yeah.
who you can take it at a community college, you can take it online. And
Yep.
some you can't. Some will
Yeah.
replace the grade, some will average. Like, find out and then make the best choice for you of how to retake it so that you don't
Yes.
go, I retook it. I waited 2 years and then I found out taking it without a lab didn't count. And now I'm scrambling around.
And please, 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 please contact the school for school specific questions like that. Like, I have this physiology class. Will this school accept this physiology class for its
Right.
requirement? I don't know, because every school has slightly different
Right.
parameters about what they will accept for a class. Or like Jane was saying with the like grade replacement, will they average them together? Like, as an advisor, I don't know all the like small intricacies of every school, and I don't review syllabi to see, oh, what's covered in this physiology class. Yes, this school will
Yeah.
accept, like, those school specific questions. Please contact the schools. It's just not worth guessing, and they will get back to you. And most of them are
Yeah.
pretty good about like a quick turnaround time, for answering
Yes.
those types of questions.
Okay. And when I'm going to interrupt my own thought, which I've already
Yes.
lost by saying, when we're saying contact people or email people, I'll speak for myself. When I'm saying contact people or email people, email is more formal than y'all think it is. You need to, at least on the first email, it starts with dear, title, last name, comma. Look up their name, find out if they're doctor, whoever, their doctor, whoever. If their last name is hyphenated, put the whole thing. Spell it correctly. Then
Yeah.
introduce yourself. My name is blah, 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 and I am, who are you? And here is my question. The amount of emails I get for people like wanting jobs, wanting help, wanting letters that are just so, it's like a text. It's like one line, no beginning. These are great folks. They have
Yep.
degrees, they're, in college, they maybe have been on programs with us. Who are you? What is this?
Mhm.
What is happening? I get 400 emails a day. You gotta help me out. And when you're,
Yep.
we could go on and on, but when you're asking people, by the way, for recommendation letters, you gotta tee up the ball. Why are you making them work?
Yep.
Send them, I'm applying to this. These are the criteria. This is what I'm hoping to highlight. Here's my resume. These are the things I really think match me to position. This is what the position's looking for. You know how much better the recommendation letter is going to be than,
Yes.
hey,
Make it
my
easy
name's
for them.
Jane. I was in your fourth period class 2 years ago. I'm applying to vet school. Could you write me a recommendation letter? I guess, lady, but like maybe if you're lucky, I can look up your assignment. What am I, who, you
Mm-hmm.
know, even
Yep.
if it's someone I have folks I've worked with for years, I think they're great. I would recommend them to anyone. I don't necessarily know all their professional achievements. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know if the fellowship they're applying for really cares that they're from Wisconsin or that they have experience with a whatever population. You got to help people out.
Yes, 100%. And back to the like email thing for just a second, a lot of vet schools will, your emails and communication to them become part of your application. Like
Yes.
they connect those to your application. So
Yes.
you could have a stellar application, but if you're writing emails that are like,
Rude.
hey, whoever, like,
Right.
just very nonchalant, like you're texting a friend, that's going to be connected to your email or to your application. So keep that in mind. Any communication you have with these schools can be connected to your
And
application. So
polite.
polite and
The,
default to
the,
professional language.
the demanding last minute, like I haven't heard from anyone in one day and the application is due soon. And I would expect as a stop, delete that whole thing. You can feel that way. You can say that to
Mhm.
your husband, your wife, your brother, your sister, your mom, your dad, then delete it and write a kind email that clearly
Mhm.
states what you need to know and says thank you. And you do not change the title of who that is addressed to unless they change their signature. So if you
Yep.
wrote it to Dr. Stein and they write back Marianne, now you can write it to Marianne.
Hmm.
If
Yep,
you
I
start
agree.
with just their name and a comma, that's a fighting email. Emails that start Jane, comma, like that is
Mhm.
someone taking you to school. Don't start the email that
Add a
way.
greeting.
Don't put a greeting in there. It does matter. I get if you think it shouldn't matter, good, great. You can think
Mhm.
that. I support you. But what should matter and what matters are not the same. And if your goal
Yep.
is to get into a professional community, you follow the norms of that professional community. Once you become the head of that professional community, you can be the
Mhm.
champion of like, let's all write rude emails and
Yeah.
we will be old then and we will follow you. It's fine. But
Yes.
until you're in it, you follow the norms of that
Mhm.
community. You're saying, I desperately want to be accepted into this community. Cool. That's just how that community does things. The academic professional community writes polite emails that start with a title. It calls
Yes.
doctors, and if you're not sure if someone use what they use, Mrs. or Ms. or Mr., look them up, see if you can find it somewhere. If you can't, you can just put their full name. You worked for like 8 years. You're
Yep.
at the end. You don't want to just go, I don't have 30 seconds to find out the person's name. Like
Right.
this is the last part. You gotta just take it right to the end.
You want to stand out and be remembered for being professional, polite. You don't want to be the person that they remember because of that email that you sent in a negative way.
Yeah. So there
Yep.
was 9 tangents in there, and I lost what I was even talking about at the beginning, but that's fine. We're gonna move on. It was
Just go
all
where it takes
important.
us.
It was all useful. Okay, let's do a last. It can be a do or a don't, but like last, it can be more than one thing. Real piece of advice. Let's say I'm already in college. Let's say I'm like a
Mm-hmm.
junior in college. Okay, so I got a little time, but not a ton of time.
Yep.
What's the one thing that you really want them to take?
Hard to narrow it down to
I know,
one.
or two, or throw whatever. What comes to mind that you're like, whatever you
Yeah.
do, not this.
Yeah. I mean, so what I like to tell my applicants all the time, and we've hit on it a little bit, but you are going to be competing against thousands of applicants who all have very similar credentials to you. You're going to have similar GPAs, you're going to have probably similar experiences, right? Because you have to have vet hours, you want to have animal hours. So in order to truly stand out in the application process, I think your big opportunities are going to be in your personal statement, in your essays, and in your interviews. Um, and those things, I think, you know, ask for help, get support with those. Take the time and start the application process early. I have never worked with an applicant who says, you know, oh, I started my application too early. Like, this is just not, you know, everyone I work with is like, I mean, I know you told me, and I guess I just, you don't know it until you're going through it, but like, start the process early and take the time and the energy and go through the steps. Like, have other people read your essays, multiple other people, get
Mhm.
feedback, ask questions if you have them. Don't just assume anything.
Yeah.
And I know that was probably like five things wrapped into
No, I love it.
a package, but I would say those are, you know, and know
Yeah.
your why and be able to articulate it.
So this is similar to what I was going to talk about. When we talk about a well-rounded, you used to always hear well-rounded, well-rounded, well-rounded. We're looking for a well-rounded class. You get a well-rounded class from pointy kids. I
Mhm.
don't really want you to, it's good. You got to have some exposure to everything, but there's got to be a thing.
Yeah.
What now it could be, it doesn't have to be, like I said, it doesn't have to be sea turtle medicine. It doesn't have to be something no one else has. Your thing could be, it can be something in small animal, but
Mhm.
something that you pick, that you
Mhm.
say, this is what something I really care about, that you can show. I keep doing this because to me it's like there's a first intro to it, and then you get a little
Yeah.
narrower, build on it in some way up, whether it gets
Yeah.
narrower, whether it gets, more detailed, whether it gets more leadership, whether it brings in more people, some kind of growth in this way that shows, man, when this person found something they were interested in, they grew in that space. That's who you want in your class.
Yeah.
That's someone who gets passionate about something, who gets interested, who brings other people in, who gets hired, who
Mhm.
gives money back to your school later, who recruits alumni. Like, you want to see that. So,
Yeah.
like I said, it doesn't mean you have to be like the only student who's ever studied lemurs at your school or whatever. Let's say you're interested in dogs. You want to be a small animal vet. You really like dogs. Great. Lots of
Mhm.
people who become vets are dog vets. That's great.
Yeah.
So let's build it. Are you doing agility training with dogs, and then you're teaching a class in that at your old elementary school, and you have a kid that you mentor? Or you are passionate about grooming and you got a grooming job at PetSmart, and then you had your own clients and you built a portfolio of 20 clients who recommend you, and you have a 5-star review, and you give free cat nail trimmings on Sunday at the senior center. By the way, anyone could do that thing I just said. That's not, you don't need to pay for anything, maybe
Yeah.
little things, but you don't need to have a special connections. Are
Yeah.
you found out that there have been 2 dog bites at the park down the street in the last year. So you go on Saturdays and you made a flyer about what to notice in aggressive behavior, and you went to the
Yeah.
city council meeting and you gave a speech on it, and you added information to the website, and you got permission to contact folks who've had a dog bite and offer training. I'm making the thing up, but
Yeah.
some story that or it's clubs at your school. You're the head of the pre-vet club, and you wanted to bring attention to XYZ thing. So you brought in this guest
Mhm.
speaker, and then next year you did it for a bigger panel so that other clubs were
Mhm.
invited. And then the next year you guys went to the elementary school fair, and I mean, this stuff is available, but
Yes.
that's what we always, when people come on a Loop Abroad trip, we're like, and what is next? Don't just go on the trip and go, yeah, I got credit, I have vet hours, great. Build something, email the person you met, and maybe you can help with their research. You loved that you learned about sloths, learn more about sloths and take a class, like some
Not a
cumulative
passive
thing.
process. Like, you have
Yeah,
to, yeah.
yeah.
It,
You can stand out with, I would say, You can't spend 1 hour on something and stand out, but you can spend 100 hours on something and stand out. And 100 hours in a year is 2 hours a week.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah,
Yeah.
it won't fall into your lap. When I'm saying you can do this, like, come on, go ahead and do it. I'm not being dismissive and saying it's no work, but I'm saying it's possible. And I
Mhm.
and I remembered what I lost track of talking about before, which was we were
Yeah.
talking about the section where you say you explain something on your
Oh,
application.
yes.
it, it shouldn't have any excuses in it. It shouldn't be someone else's fault. It
No.
shouldn't be, I mean, you can hear the difference in, well, I got a D in organic chemistry because my teacher would never listen when I tried to explain that I needed extra time because my mom was sick. And then when I filled in the paperwork for getting an extension on, the school didn't accept it. So I had no choice but to take an unfair grade, da, da, da. Or I was signed up for organic chemistry. A family member passed away the same semester, and it was very difficult for me to manage my schedule. So I got an F. I signed up again. I studied over the summer. I retook it when I was in a better space and had time now that my family was fine. And I got
Got
an A the next
tutoring,
time.
got additional support, like,
Great,
yeah.
right? It's the same thing that happened to you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really want that first person in my academic class. They sound like a nightmare, even though that we
All
all
about how
feel
you
that way and
present it.
say that to our friends and family. And the second person, I do want. They had a
Mm-hmm.
problem, they owned it, they fixed it. They're great. It's the
Yep.
same person. It's the same thing that happened. Both of those people came home and said, screw that lady. She wasn't fair to me. They should have helped me. I had a hard time. We all feel that way. That's not the story you write in
Yeah.
the box. And
It's
if you
all
see
about how you
excuses
present it.
anywhere, I wanted to do this program, but I couldn't afford it because we don't have that. So instead, you don't have to say it that way. You
Yep.
can say, even though I didn't have funds to do XYZ, I found this opportunity, then I did this, then I built it into this, and now I set up a scholarship so that the next person can go do it. Like, same story,
Yep.
totally different result.
Growth
So
mindset.
yeah, we
Uh-huh.
don't want the excuses
Yeah.
in there. We know they're real feelings. We believe you.
Yeah. Totally.
But
And valid
that's what
feelings.
your home network, your social network, your family network is for: getting all those feelings out, processing them, having them. You don't even have to process them. You can just keep them. And it's fine. This is the only picture they get of you, is that application. And there's no reason to introduce anything into that picture that isn't great. Right.
Agreed.
And you can
Agreed.
turn a failed class into they can see the failed class,
Mm-hmm.
not a secret, but you can turn the explanation of it into like, oh, wow, this person
Mm-hmm.
knows how to deal with when stuff goes wrong. They explain what happened. They got a failed class. It was the same semester a family member died. And then they took it again and got an A. Great. For me,
Yep.
that's like, okay, check, moved on. It's basically like you didn't even fail
Yep.
the class. I understand it. Don't make
Yep.
up a family member that died. It's also okay if you just
No.
did.
No. Be
And then
honest.
you did fine the next time. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
everyone reading that application has had a time where they botched it. It's
Yeah.
okay.
And
And
there's
it's,
very few applicants that just like did not have at least one bad class.
yeah,
Like that just,
sure.
I'm not sure it exists.
Right. Don't
Um,
worry about it.
yeah,
But, the way you explain it, and the way that what it shows about your character is an opportunity for you to show something. If you find you're writing that about whose fault it was, you need to delete whatever you're writing and start writing it again,
yeah,
because it doesn't ring. It's not who you want to show. It's just not who you want to show. You can be mad about it later. My Georgetown called the other day for money, and I was like, remember when you wouldn't process my withdrawal from a class? Good night. Don't ever call me again. You can stay mad. It can
yep,
be their fault. It's okay. Don't write it down. Just talk about it on the internet with strangers.
right.
Okay, so if somebody wants help with their application, what's the
Yeah.
process for them to sign up with you guys, or what does that look like?
Yeah, so we offer a free 30-minute applicant assessment, and they can email info@galined, so info at GALINED.com,
Okay.
info@galined.com. And during the 30-minute consultation, it's kind of a chance for me to get to know you a little bit as an applicant, where you're at with things, what your goals are, what you're hoping to get out of working with an advisor, for me to share information about our services and see if we might be a good fit to work together.
Yeah.
Uh,
I think, obviously people feel differently or have different funds or timelines for what
Mhm.
they're going to spend on their applications, what they're going to do. But I like people to remember that you have worked at least 8 years to get ready for this process. You're gonna spend another 4 years and dollars on this process of going to vet school. If you want help from a service where you're paying someone to help you
Mhm.
get all your stuff ready, great. If
Mhm.
you if that isn't in your budget or it isn't, it doesn't work for you, please seek out the free resources that are available, like even just this
Yes.
consultation. There's a lot of information available, and the attention and time that you spend in this process of applying will pay out tenfold. So to do all that diligent work and take all those science classes, Lord, like we'll talk about a bad class. The class I failed was what used to be called rocks for jocks at my school because it was geology, and it was supposed to be like everyone will get an A in this. It did not. Not a science. Not I couldn't do what the classes that you guys do. And so you've done all that. You've done those, I'm going to say, thousands of hours of studying and
Mhm.
volunteering and working and building that knowledge. Don't treat this application part as an afterthought, because you're up against people who aren't treating it as an afterthought. And
Mhm.
and those hours are worth at least as much as those hours you put in before. So whether you use a wonderful service to help you kind of get everything organized, that's great if you want to do that. Whether you do it on your own, the attention and care that you pay to that process is worth it. It will pay out. There are things in life where it's not, where turning it in at 80% is the same as turning it in as 100%. It's just turning it in. This isn't that at
No.
all. Yeah.
No. In essays alone, like I have a lot of applicants and clients that, they feel comfortable filling out the application themselves and all that, but like the essays, I think, it can be very valuable to work with an advisor or somebody who knows, who's read a lot of essays and who can kind of knows what admissions is looking for in those. Because I think essays
Yes.
and interviews, I think, are a place that can really make or break an application.
And I'm gonna say, not your parents.
No.
Unless your parents are vets or work at a school, unless they know this industry, moms and dads and whatever other adults you identify as sort of parents or parental roles in your life, they love us very much. And they read the essay and go, oh, it's so great. It's probably not. It's probably bad. So if the person you're getting feedback from reads it and is like, no notes, perfect, of course you'll get in. You need a different person reading it. Someone who loves you less should be reading it.
Constructive criticism
If
can
it
be
doesn't
important.
come back with stuff, you didn't get it to the
Mhm.
right person yet. And if you give them enough time, you can talk to, faculty members or
Mhm.
folks you've worked with and say, would you be willing to look at this? Or even just talk about, this is what I'm planning to say. What do you think?
Yes.
Not the
Yes.
night before it's due, but with some time, get some feedback from someone who knows what it should say and shouldn't say.
Mhm.
Um, and and don't be married to whatever you wrote on the first draft. It's going to be pretty different by the end.
Yes.
Yeah.
4 to 6 drafts. Set that
Yeah.
as your expectation and then you won't be disappointed.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, this was great. I hope that you all found it helpful.
I'm so glad
Maybe.
we got to chat today. Thanks
I
for having
know.
me.
You share a lot of feelings about people's
Yes.
applications.
Our
But
old lady feeling.
I didn't mean to group you into my old
Yeah,
lady
no,
title that
I'm
I
there.
gave myself. But I mean, I think with communication, particularly tech related communication, there is a generational difference and it happens really fast. I'm
Totally.
42 and people who are 35 are like, what are you doing? Like that's
Hmm.
totally, but which is like, which is okay. But I like to set the expectations for emailing schools, because when I'm like, just email your school, and the person's like, okay, great. And I'm like, well, not like that. Don't do that. Like, I want to make sure I include in that advice, what do I mean when I'm saying emailing your school? It really does, it really can rub people wrong. And most
Totally.
of us are able to overlook it and say, well, it's a different generation, it's a different time, they're busy, da da da. But why give people something they have to overlook?
Hmm.
Why you Oh, every email to the school that you're applying to is an opportunity to improve your application. And if
Yes.
instead you're giving them something that they have to go, okay, well, she didn't write it great, but you know, it's tough. out there in the world. She probably has finals. Like they're gonna treat you with humanity, but like why give yourself something to step over instead of like a help?
Yep.
So
Default to
all
being the most
those,
professional version of yourself when you are
yes,
communicating with vet schools.
yes. And it's the same with interviews, right? All of us have had things happen. We know that in the video interview, it's possible that you're you have food on the counter and it falls down, or your cat jumps into the screen, or you have a
Mhm.
bad hair day, or your sound doesn't work, or you're 2 minutes late. I did like all those things today, by the way. My dog is here. I think I was 3 minutes late. I went to the wrong Zoom
Probably
thing.
been hearing my dog.
Like, yeah. Okay. So we all know those things happen. But again, every time they happen, someone has to overlook them. They have one interaction with you. And if it's okay, no one's gonna say, oh, her drink fell on her laptop during the interview. Take her off the list. But like if it could not, that's better, right? Because there's
Yep.
one less thing to overlook. So take the extra 10 minutes, go in a quieter room, tell the other people in your house what you're doing, cover up the weird poster you have in the back. Just like do the little, mostly because that shows I'm diligent, I'm careful, I care about this. I took the steps that I could to make it be a success. That's the
Mhm.
kind of person you want in any team.
Yep.
So like all those
Yep.
little like you're right at the end.
It all adds up.
Yeah. Send the thank you note after that, like do all the little parts that in
Yep.
your head you go, should I follow up? Should I? Yep. Yes. Sure. Yep, you should. All
Yeah.
of them.
It's going to
And they
be
do
work.
add up. It won't be the thing that gets you in. You can't just wait till the last minute and be like, I wrote a really nice thank you note. But they definitely won't hurt you. And they you know, the people that are reading your application are people. They're human beings. Human beings like when you're nice to them and know their name and spell it correctly. And you show up on time and you don't waste their time and you reach out and say thank you. We like those things. They make you
Mhm.
feel good. And they're not, and it's not unfair for that to be part of the decision process of who would we like other people in our class to spend time around for the next 4 years. It's not an accident that those things count. They're supposed to count. You want nice people around you.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
you have a lot of opportunities to improve the application at the end, but it does take some diligence and time and work. And
Yep.
I think
It's not
Galin
a
Ed
place
is
to cut
here to,
corners.
yeah, you guys are here for folks who need support at the end. Loop Abroad is here if you're going, I need to get my GPA up, I need to get research, I
Yes.
need to get experience with wildlife, whatever. There are services out there that are
Yes.
there to help you kind of fill in those gaps, learn more about what you're doing and how you should talk
Even
about it.
getting more upper level science classes. Like the more upper level science classes you take, the better off you're going to be in vet school. Like
Yeah,
whether it's a GPA thing or just like a knowledge thing, upper level science classes, if you have room to take some extras, do it.
yeah. And as a plug, you can take them with us
Yes.
online or in person. But you can take them other places too. You can take them at your school. You can take them maybe online at your school, local community colleges. Again, if you know, like if you're only applying to your in-state and you know that's where you care about, find out what the rules are for what courses count. Do they have to be transferred into your home school? They don't. Do they have to, do they have to be from a 4-year school? Can they be online? All this and like make a strategic plan that accomplishes your goal. If you say, okay, in the summer, I can spend $2,000, I can spend, this many hours and I can get my GPA up from a 3.6 to a 3.9. You can make a decision about that. You can write it down and say it costs this much money, it takes this much time, it improves my chances by X amount. Does that work for me? Is that worth it for me? You don't have to guess. It doesn't have
Mhm.
to be willy-nilly. There's data on all these things. And
Yep.
you know yourself and you can say, I have time for that or money for that or whatever, however that works out. And you look at your application, it's the summer before you're going to apply, and you say, okay, I'm working this summer and I have to go to Cheryl's wedding, so I have this much time. Here's what I have for a budget. Maybe it's nothing, maybe it's $5,000, maybe you have to make $10,000. Within those parameters, what's my plan? And make a plan that you can reasonably accomplish in that time versus just throwing stuff at the wall and then you wait for September and go, okay, where will I be? Where does this stuff fit? Like you could have just found that out 3 months ago and picked the things to do for that path. So that
Mhm.
time spent planning will pay out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
All right, I said goodbye 10 minutes ago and then I just talked. talk.
Oh,
But
good.
we're gonna put the your email in the notes. We'll put the Loop Abroad info in the notes. Please reach out
Perfect.
if you are
Yeah,
looking for extra resources, looking for support, have ideas you want to share. We are always trying to share that info with more folks on this pre-vet track, and we'd love to hear what you have to say. So thanks all of you
absolutely.
for watching, and thank you for being here. This is great.
Thanks for having me. This was great.
Okay.